Good to have you with us, Mark. Thanks
Hi.
for joining us. I wondered if you could tell us a bit more about cost reduction through O&M. A lot of the talk in the industry has always been on larger turbines, but there's a lot that can be achieved with reducing the costs of O&M. What's Statoil's take on how big a gain that might provide?
Well, as and when we get more and more locations, more and more wind farms, and they come into the operational aspect, then the cost will increase. So over the years, 25-year wind farm, the majority of that is out of warranty and an operational kind of risk for Statoil. So realistically, you've got to be looking at how often you visit turbines. Condition monitoring is a good thing. If you can see the condition of your turbines without having to send somebody out, not only do you save costs, but you also reduce HSE risk as well. Yeah. So it's a big thing. Also, as and when Statoil get more and more wind farms, the kind of collaboration between the sites can work better. Okay. So Dudgeon and Statoil very close to each other. There could be technician sharing, there could be marine solutions that help, as well as just information sharing and experience.
Does Statoil have a sort of a cost target for reducing O&M by, say, 10%, 20%? Is there a target?
I'm not quite sure if there's an actual target set at this stage. Only in 2017, because they kind of took over the operatorship at Sheringham, it was the first operational wind farm that they actually had. Right. So they now all of a sudden got Dudgeon and Highwind as operational as well. Yes. So I think the operations part has become a lot higher. Yeah. I know there's site targets to kind of keep O&M costs down, and we're all trying to keep the megawatts per hour cost low. But whether they then come back with a strategy to say, right, we want a 30% reduction in the next 3 years, I think that will come.
Yeah, so the sharing of assets and personnel across wind farms, that's going to help drive them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We were talking a bit earlier about using drones, and you were telling me about the use of drones on Sheringham Shoal. Can you tell us a bit more about that and your experience of using drones and how beneficial it's been?
Yeah, so we've recently undertaken a project. We're using drones to inspect all our blades. Mm-hmm. All our blades needed inspections. There's only a number of options that you can do that. There's either a rope access team where you physically dangle down and take pictures and record it, and then drones come up. Drones can then fly off the vessel. Mm-hmm. They can fly, but obviously they need certain daylights and certain weather conditions, but they can kind of jump in between gaps. Yes. When a rope access team would then need designated weather, they can't no lightning risk, and it takes so much longer. So we run with a drone project and inspected every single blade on every single turbine last year, and then that all gets inputted onto a database which we have access to, and a categorisation of the damage on each blade, which we then use to tailor our blade maintenance strategy for this year, so the following summer period.
Right. Who is actually flying the drones? Is it someone from the crew transfer? It's a dedicated team.
Yeah, it's a subcontractor who come on board, and we gave them a designated vessel so that they could go around and try and inspect as many turbines as possible. And there's a company called Martech Marine, and they did a fantastic job. And I think it takes something like kind of 15 minutes to inspect the whole turbine.
And how does that compare with using rope access?
Well, rope access would be at least a day. Yes. And plus you've got to climb. The HSE risk is then considerably more. Yes. The planning is considerably more. You'd have to have a working over water, so we would have to have a support vessel permanently on standby. Okay. So then the cost would escalate. Yeah. So
are there any conditions? What are the limiting conditions on using a drone? Presumably they're not suitable for use in every condition.
Yeah. So I think they could operate in up to 8 meters per second wind speed. Oh no, up to 10 meters per second. Sorry, wind speed. They could operate in. Obviously, there's restrictions for the light levels. So which is where we did come with a slight problem, because we are a tidal port. We can only sail at certain times. Yeah. So we did do it in the summer months, but still, even then, You've got certain areas when it is
Sure.
darker in the
Yes.
afternoons and it is
Yes.
lighter.
Yeah.
But that's why we give them that designated
Yes.
vessel, so they
Yes.
could hit as many as they could,
Yes.
and as soon as the light levels come down,
Yes.
then they just stopped.
And how would you compare the overall quality of the data that you're getting on the condition of a blade? Is it that much better?
I feel like the
used before?
database that we actually had,
Yeah.
we ended up with a real quality high definition
Yes.
pictures.
Yes.
I mean, you could see a fly squashed on the blade,
Yes.
and that is the detail we were
Yeah.
looking at. And then when you look at that, and it's across a whole blade, and you can physically on the database see a picture with it
Yes.
categorised with a
Yes.
colour code and on there.
Yes.
It's so easy to
Yes.
manage.
And is it any of this data being used in real time? Is it being transmitted ashore, or was it just being recorded on the vessel and then
Yeah.
downloaded when you get back?
There's two. There's the drone pilot,
Mhm.
and then kind of a quality assurance person on there, and he goes through as and when he's flying to make sure he's flying up the blade. They cover
Yes.
all the blade, seeing if there's any kind of major problems,
Mhm.
and if there was, that would get reported straight into the project lead within my
Yes.
team, and they would know about it
So
within.
the QA guy is directing the guy controlling the drone
Yeah.
to take a look at things.
Yeah. But if it was just standard, what you'd call standard damage, and some leading edge damage and potential lightning strike stuff, nothing that was urgently needed to see, then they would just every other day, every couple of days, or every weather day
Yes.
where they couldn't go out there, they'd load all that information onto a database, and it would be, as soon as on the database, it would be available for us to see.
Yes.
So we started to see
Yes.
the site come online,
Yeah.
which was
okay.
good.
And one last thing, Mark, you talked about looking at the blades. What about the underwater structure? Does Statoil have any plans to use unmanned vehicles or to use ROVs? Or
Yeah.
what are the plans there at looking at the underwater structure?
Yeah, so this year we are going to just start to roll out the plan to say what we've got. We want to do a full export cable route
Okay.
to see if we've got any kind of exposure route
Mhm.
areas on the route.
How do you plan to do that?
Well, we'd like to look at that for an ROV,
Right.
and then we can maybe just do that this year and have some real good detailed vision of the quality of it, and plus the scouring around the bottom of the
Yeah,
turbines.
yeah. So that would be a tethered ROV rather than an unmanned vehicle, would it?
We'd have to look into what's available, what's best.
Yeah.
We haven't done anything into it yet. Haven't looked into it, but that is definitely
Yeah.
on the
And
cards.
again, that would be cost saving and save time. And
Yes, yeah, and the benefits with that is as long as that would be a contractor, they would turn up on either their own vessel, or we would supply them a vessel.
Yeah.
They would do the work and then
Yeah.
bring it straight into us.
Right.
It doesn't take up any
No.
of our time, any of our technicians,
Yeah.
and it'll just be one project lead from my team will oversee it, and
Sounds like a great
it'll be passed down to us.